All right, and a good Sunday to you. Welcome to another episode of JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks. Again, where we can find out and unearth old obscure songs, artists, songs that maybe at one point were huge, maybe not that huge, but one-off hits or something, and they were lost with time. Fell through the cracks. So we're rediscovering them here, reappreciating them here. Okay. Again, if you're new to the channel, I got a few videos up. Check them out. A lot of good classic stuff, obscure stuff that hasn't been heard in a few years. Like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. Again, any questions, concerns, comments, please ask, please comment. They're appreciated. Okay. All right. Been doing some 80s now. Okay. Getting into the 80s. Of course, I'm not going to lose track of my 70s era, late 60s era. I love that. But we're, changing it up a little bit. Today we're doing an interesting artist. Okay. Session musicians that had a good album, had a good song, but went back into their role of songwriting, producing, and doing session work for other artists. Okay, we're talking about David and David. Okay, David and David released an album in 1986. I still vividly remember this album when their song "Welcome to the Boomtown" was on the charts. Like I mentioned, this song did chart, but it's the only album they ever did. Okay, David Bearwald and David Ricketts. Okay, this is their album. I was reading on some history on this album. It's a Los Angeles themed album. Okay, not exactly concept album, but boomtown. Okay, like we were talking last week about LA, how LA is a very interesting city. This is the album here. It's a really good album. Okay. It's interesting also in the fact that it doesn't have that 80s sound that a lot of the artists had back then, especially contemporary pop, not that they're a pop band, but even some of the harder rock, of course, the glam metal that was out in the 80s, mid 80s, had that 80s sound, that 80s pop, condensed, compressed, dance, if you will say. Sound. David and David didn't have that. It was just a straight rock, rock and roll, good song, good music. But Welcome to the Boomtown is the song. Really, really good song. Great lyrics. Great instrumentation. Again, David Bearwald is a name. He was a songwriter, a session musician in LA. Worked with a lot of big artists. One of his high points in his career, he's actually one of the masterminds behind Sheryl Crow's debut album, Tuesday Night Music Club. Okay, songwriter on that album, instrument, played a lot of instruments on the album. David Ricketts as well. He's credited for the songs on her album, Leaving Las Vegas, I believe. Bearwald also worked with Fishbone, Waylon Jennings, Luciano Pavarotti even. So he's written a couple of music scores. So he's a big name in the industry. Okay, but again, they made this album, and it was the only album they ever made. Okay, check it out. Check that song out. Definitely a long lost artist. That they only did one album. The song kind of fell. It's a great song, great intro. Guitar work is great on it. Great vocalizations as well. Of course, these guys are, behind the boards producing. So I'm sure that's why it came out so great. And again, it doesn't sound like that typical 80s sound, if you know what I mean. Because like I said, even the hard rock bands, Judas Priest had that 80s. You can tell it's an 80s song. A lot of artists didn't have that. They didn't. Okay, listen to that song. It could come out, in this era in the 90s. Doesn't sound like it's from a certain era, but I mean, it is from 1986. Okay, Ricketts was also, you know, he's more of a session musician. Did some production. I think did a couple of Meredith Brooks albums I've read, but he was more, you know, as a musician producer. Bearwald, you know, did the songwriting, did the music production, played on the albums, and there was talk of they might be doing a second album, I think like 3 or 4 years ago, but it hasn't come to flourish. So hopefully they will. Hopefully we'll check out another album from them. It'll be cool. It'll be interesting. But yeah, check out David and Dave in 1986, Boomtown, the album. Again, Los Angeles themed. It's interesting. Good lyrics, like I mentioned. Okay, on this album. Okay, so we're doing some 80s, changing it up a little bit here. I might throw in another 80s next week, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Okay, we play it by ear. No pun intended. But yeah, check that song out. Welcome to the Boomtown on the Boomtown album of David and David. Okay. All right. So one more anecdote. Tuesday night. That's the title of Sheryl Crow's album, but I believe they were part of a group, Tuesday Music Club, that would get together and jam in LA. It was David and David. It was a bunch of artists that would, you know, that would come up with ideas, you know, production ideas, and they would apparently they would meet on a Tuesday, you know, do all-nighters, I guess. But that was an interesting anecdote I wanted to throw in there. Okay. All right, so I hope you're having a good weekend. End of the weekend, keeping cool out there. And again, like and subscribe on the channel. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and check out those videos. All right, I'll see you on the next one.